So you finally got your hands on Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and you started a brand new playthrough. I'm going to show you the top 10 tips that you need to know when starting a brand new playthrough that's just going to streamline your experience and make things go very well for you so you can get set up for the late game. After all of the tutorial stuff, you're going to end up arriving to this waypoint right here in Southorn Forest. It's basically story, folks. You can't miss it. But when you arrive here, just come to the south and get to this cave right over here. This is going to be one of the first places you go to. And it's super vital that you do this because you're going to get one of the, probably the single most useful echo in here. This is the P-Hat, and this is basically going to kill everything for you. Very straightforward, very easily. After about 4 hits with the rock, you will knock him down, and you can go ahead and learn a B-Hat. That's going to be the only warrior you're going to need for the entire early game, folks. This thing shreds everything. To demonstrate the P-Hat, folks, I'm here in the Bokoblin camp that we just passed through on our way to actually getting it. And you can just see this thing just do everything. You're not going to find a better echo than that for early game, I'll tell you that. This will even carry you all the way through mid-game, as you can see him carrying me right here. Easy. Tip number 2 is getting a horse early. Now, as soon as you've finished your first temple and done with this house stuff, you can come right out of this house and go get your horse immediately. We're going to just come right out here, up here. Don't forget to hit the warp point. And if you look at your map, folks, and you zoom in here, there's your house. And if you just follow this path all the way up here to the left, you're going to come across to the ranch. It's very close. It looks bigger on the map than it actually is, but we're going to go ahead that way right now. If you come this direction from the ruins, there's a little shortcut this way with a guy and a quest, which we can do right now. Let's go ahead and do this, and you probably already know how to do this. There's wooden boxes right there, and you've already gotten your fire torch, so we're going to go ahead and blast that up right now. Throw that at the box, and blam, that should be it, and then we can just move the rocks out of the way. Once you've done that quest, folks, just follow the path westwards, all the way up to the ranch right here. It's very close. Now, once you're in the ranch, you're going to see this guy with a quest right beside the house. You can't miss it if you just keep your eyes open. Go ahead and get his quest, Runaway Horse. Come out of the ranch and go west again. The horse can be found in this little puddle just west of the ranch right here. Very close. And you're going to want to build a couple of things for him to get out on. So build a couple of beds, and there we go. Back to the ranch. And as soon as you finish this quest, which is pretty much once you get back to the ranch, you'll be able to use this horse anytime you want. You now have a horse, any horse as a matter of fact, and you'll be able to use them to completely open up the map for you. This game is essentially open world, so that'll be super handy to get a bunch of warp points very early on. Tip number 3 is moving your camera with your right joystick. You can move it around, and the game does mention that at the very beginning. If you don't see it, it's quite likely you don't see it. That's what it says. But it doesn't say if you click in your right analog stick, you get a top-down view, which is very handy for seeing things you might not necessarily see. And in this case, if you move around the heart piece, you can see it. But I do want to stress that in some places in the map, there are places you cannot see the item unless you're moving your map like this and doing this with the analog stick by clicking it in. So top-down view is click in your right analog stick. Tip number 4 is to head to the Great Ferry straight away so you can increase the number of accessories you have. And I highly recommend you get on your horse here after obtaining it right at the beginning of the game and making your way to Lake Hylia. Lake Hylia can be accessed very quickly if you're going from the ranch with your horse. Just come south down here, follow the path basically pretty much straight east until you come to this point right here where you can come south. Of course, the map will open up as you're moving, and just head on into the water, and you're going to see the fairy fountain just to the southeast in the middle of the lake. Inside, guys, you got a bunch of free fairies. You also have a warp point outside, so you can come back to replenish on fairies anytime. But if you talk to the main Great Fairy right here, she will increase the number of slots you have to equip accessories, which is actually very useful. Now, if you've already gotten some of the chests from some of the dungeons that we just did at the beginning of the game, you'll already have 100 rupees to get your first slot very easily. So you'll have these 100 rupees ready to go after just obtaining 2 chests. You don't even need to pick up stuff. As you can see, I already have nearly 200 just without even farming. So you're just gonna pick stuff up as you go. Your accessory limit has been raised by 1, which means you can now equip more accessories, and you will be getting more accessories that are very very useful. So what she just did there is she gave us another accessory slot. We don't have other accessories yet, but we will be getting them, and they are very useful. They will be giving you important buffs throughout the game. Next tip is, aside from the first slot you just got, you're only going to need 12 gold eggs that you can find very easily to max out the remainder of the slots and completely finish this fairy. You can get 5 slots total, which looks like this, and that's going to give you a lot of space to get a lot of buffs. These gold eggs are items you'll find around the place. There are so many in the game, but they sell for 150 rupees a piece, which means you only need 12 to max out the fairy after the first 100 rupees we showcased in the last point. I am going to have a separate video guide on how to get all 12 of those eggs and max out the fairy very early, so do watch out for that. As soon as it's ready, I will leave it linked at the end of this video and in the description for you guys. Tip number 6, folks, you abuse link transformation in order to get more height for your jump. As you can see, Zelda's default jump height is not enough to get on the box. That's going to be something you're going to have started the game off with, of course. But if you change to Link, you will be able to jump on that box no problem. Now, it's going to come in very, very handy in a lot of cases where you want to make the jump in order to get what you're trying to get to. Next tip is about smoothies, folks. The number one smoothie you're going to want to have is rock salt and electro apples mixed for a salty apple smoothie. You're going to be coming across smoothie shops very, very fast after you start the game. They're going to be in every location, so you'll be able to make these no problem. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of electro apples. You should have no problem with those either. If you can find rock salt and electro apples and mix them to make salted apple smoothies, you're going to be able to spam link usage in all your fights, and there's a lot of bosses that use electricity that stops you from getting close and being able to hit them unless you have lightning proof. So this is going to be the number one most useful potion to drink down in a lot of boss fights. If anyone needs health recovery, there are a bunch of different options. Refreshing grapes with refreshing grapes, probably one of the most common ingredients, will give you plenty of health recovery. You can spam a bunch of them. But if you do have some rock salt left over and milk, I highly recommend that one because that will give you massive health recovery as well as full energy recovery combination. Very, very powerful. Basically, that means you're going to be able to abuse Link in any combat situation. And as you can see, my energy gets depleted quite quickly, but whenever you need a replenishment, go ahead and pop one of those potions. This is one of the salted apple smoothies I was just talking about, and we drink it, we get all of our energy back and lightning proof on top. So you can continue to abuse Link for a little bit more. The next tip follows the last one quite nicely. If you do get a bunch of those smoothies, the next cool thing to do is come to this temple right here, which has really strange statues at it. But in order to get here, if you're going from the sword house at the beginning of the game, you can just come right up here along this road, cross the river here, and just come right up here. This will give you another side quest, which if you go in here, you're going to face a couple of challenges, which are, of course, electricity based. And having Link accessible to use is going to help you out a lot with lightning proof. My lightning proof just wore off. Using one of those salted apple smoothies to showcase this a little bit better, we can come right in here and we can hit those guys no problem. If you manage to beat this dungeon, guys, you're going to get a charm. It's not this one. This is the upgraded version, but you will get one that will give you 25% damage reduction straight up. The buffed one is even more, so do check that out. It's something you can do at the beginning of the game. Final point, folks, is once you've completed the fairy with all 1,900 rupees in order to do so, you'll be able to come back after a certain point in the game, around mid-game, and get a quest from her, which is going to allow you to find those might crystals much more easily. The reason this is actually a separate tip is because if you do the quest and you try to talk to the fairy over and over again, she's not going to give you anything. This is something that you can miss super easily because you have to leave and come back to do it. So there is no indication that you'd end up getting something else if you came back another time after completing it. The item question you're going to get from her is the Might Bell, which is a bell that rings and gives you an indication when you're near a might crystal, and it has quite a good range around it, in fairness. As soon as you come near a crystal, you're going to get a little ring, and when you get closer to it, it's going to ring even harder. In the end, guys, this item is going to help you buff up your Link powers to max much more smoothly as you play through the game. That is your top 10 tips, folks. That's going to get you through the beginning and mid-game very, very smoothly without breaking anything, just doing the game like normal, just with good info. Thanks for watching this. I will have the golden eggs, so you can get all 12 golden eggs to max out your fairies ASAP. That video should be here if you're watching this video. And other than that, I will have other guides coming up, so do pay attention to that. If you need to subscribe, you can. You'll see my videos come up in the algorithm or whatever. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.